Okay, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to make the adult size Pampers. Link to the original Reddit post in the description below. For this diaper mod, we're going to be starting off with Assurance stretch briefs with tabs. I'm using the small mediums, those fit me the best. I think the only difference between the small mediums and the larges is they have a little bit of extended non-absorbent material, and the tabs are extended. I'm using Pampers Baby Dry size 6. You can use other brands of diapers. They're all pretty much constructed the same way. Maybe slight differences in the way you go about this using other brands, but the basic concept should be similar. We're using hot glue. Some scissors will be helpful. Maybe a marker. Tape can be helpful to help everything get laid out nice and flat. I've got a big piece of cardboard to use as my backstop for the spray glue. We have a little sheet of cardstock, again, is like a masking for the glue spray. As far as spray glue is concerned, we're using 3M Super 77. As with all spray glues, make sure you have a good ventilated area, and if you are worried about having any kind of skin irritation from this, I would maybe spray a little bit and just kind of like touch it to yourself. Make sure you're not going to have any issues. I've never had any issues with this, and even when just like accidentally spraying it all over my hands. So hopefully you should be good with that. Of course, hot glue, and this here is basically like a secret ingredient for all diaper hacks, diaper mods, to boost capacity. This is the sodium polyacrylate, or the SAP, super absorbent polymer, that's found in diapers that give them their absorbency. You can buy it in this form as instant snow in a lot of places. I got this at Walmart. Not every Walmart carries it. You can also buy it just in bulk online as the straight material itself, not being sold under as fake snow or something similar. Not sure if you can tell, but this cardboard is a little bit tacky. I've used this piece before. You may actually want to take the spray glue and just do a very light coating all across your cardboard sheet, because you're going to need to be able to take pieces from the diapers and press them down and stretch them out and get them to stay stuck to the cardboard stretched out for easy gluing. Alright, so to make one of the large Pampers, we're gonna need 2 of the Assurance briefs, 6 baby diapers, and potentially a 7th. This one is optional. I'll bring that up later. So these Assurance briefs aren't very wide, so the first step in this process is going to be attaching these 2 together, side by side, into one big wider diaper. And to do that, we're going to need to break out our scissors. And on the first one, I'm going to make a cut starting, if you can see the leak guard here and where it attaches. I'm basically going to cut the diaper starting at the leak guard on one end, and if I can trace a straight line back and cut it all the way down across to the back here. If you look, there has like it's kind of hard to see, there's a bit of a soaker pad here underneath just the regular. You can kind of see the edge of it there. If you cut along the edge of that, that should be a pretty good guideline to follow. Alright, so that side's cut. One little thing to note here is that because these are so cheap, they're not always made super uniformly. Sometimes, this is the front, sometimes the padding on the front goes near the top, sometimes it's back here. You can see on the back where it's actually higher near the back. Preferably, if you can kind of get lucky, you want the ones where the padding is going to rise up the front just a little bit more to give you more padding where it's needed. But these will do fine. Alright, and for the second one, we're going to cut the edge off as well. So on here, pay attention, I've got if I was to wear this would be a wing would be on my right side. So I'm going to cut off the right side wing on that diaper there, so we have a right and a left side. I'm going to be cutting this one in a different place. Actually, I'm not even going to be really cutting it at all. If you can take a look here, you see where this inside leak guard attaches to the diaper. First thing I'm going to do is actually take this off. Just break it with your finger, and it should pull right off. You may want to save these leak guards here. We'll be potentially reusing this one later from the assurance briefs, although a similar effect to what I'm going to be describing later can be done with the leak guards made from the baby diapers. It's just potentially a bit more of a hassle. You may want to use these if you're a larger person, since they're longer. Alright. Okay, so after I've torn off that leak guard, and you may find that tearing off the leak guard is not necessary for you if you don't end up using it, but you can see right where the leak guard was attached, it goes from just plastic here to padding. I'm going to take my finger and break it where those meet, and then just simply tear down in a straight line off the back. Off the front, and it should tear fairly easily in a straight line on its own. So now I've got one with this side torn off a little bit wider, and one with this side cut off a little bit shorter. Alright, so our next step is to go to the diaper that we tore, and I'm going to start cutting out some of the backing material with my scissors. About to here. You can actually go all the way a bit farther, but just for start off, we're going to go about here and cut it down. Scissors. Just be able to make a starting cut and then tear. Alright, and this is just to get the outer material out of the way for our gluing step. Next, we're going to have to remove some of the padding from this one. So I'm going to go in about an inch, inch and a half or two, and just peel it off till we get down to the little layer here that touches your skin, and just remove it all. Try to get as much of these little pills of fluff off as you can. Once you've peeled off the padding so that it looks like so, we're going to set this one aside, and we're going to go back to the first diaper that we cut, and we're going to secure this down flat. I'm going to tape it to the floor. If you come up with a better idea, maybe with like binder clips and some bungee cords on a piece of wood or something, they may work better, but you can also just do this on the floor with some duct tape. So I'm going to lay the diaper inside facing up, down. A little strip of tape here. Alright, we're going to get it laid out nice and flat like so. This is going to make construction a lot easier. Alright, so now we're going to start using glue for the first time. We're going to be applying glue along this edge here, about to where we cut off the, peeled back the padding. Be careful not to drench it in glue, but use enough that you get a full coverage. Doesn't take a lot. Alright, so now we're going to have to move quickly. The glue has plenty of work time, but you don't want it to go completely dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the glue edge here to this edge of the diaper here, make sure front to front, back to back. Try your best not to let the edges get rolled over and glued to each other. Should be left with something like this, which is effectively the same diaper but wider. So once you're done with that step, we're going to go ahead and untape the widened diaper from the floor, and we are going to flip it over inside facing down and retape it to the floor again, this time on all four corners. When you're stretching out to tape it, this will let you know if you did a good job with the gluing. And yeah, just like the step earlier, we're going to get it taped down to the floor, nice and taut, easy to work on. 4 tapes, 4 corners this side. Alright, so we've got the diaper taped down. As you can see, I've taped it on these more transparent little wings out here so that it doesn't get in the way of our gluing process later on. Alright, so this is where we're going to need to bring out the Pampers. For diapers like these that have a print on it, especially with 2 different kinds of prints, I like to have the prints matching. So I'm going to have Grover up front and Big Bird over here on the back. So we're going to have to start taking these apart. I'll show you how to do the side ones, and then I'll show you how to do the center diapers here. Alright, so for the side ones, and this is starting in the back, we're going to want to keep the back portion, and then all the way up to about here. I'm going to take my scissors and go ahead and cut off the front of this diaper, just below the blue. Alright. And I'm going to cut off the front for all 3 in the back. Alright. So, since this one is going on the side over there, I'm going to keep and get rid of that. I'm going to want to keep this stretchy side intact bit, the stretchy side on my right hand side of the diaper here that's going to be going towards the center. I'm going to want to go ahead and tear that off. So if you pull over to the inside here, you can take a look and see where it goes from padding to just plastic. I'm going to take my fingers and break it at that seam and just tear it apart. It should tear fairly straight down and right off the back. So now you're left with something that looks like this: torn side, stretchy side, cut side, fully intact back. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this diaper right here, but opposite for the other side. So I'm gonna keep the stretchy side on my right and tear it off on the left. Right, so I've processed the two rear outsides. Now we're gonna do the rear center. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these off the side. I'm gonna cut the front off again. And then we are going to pull the sides off, but we're not going to pull them off all the way down to the padding like we did on the inner, on the sides back here. So if we take a look, we've got the inner, and then we've got where it meets the leak guard here. There's a little bit of space. This is where our glue is going to go, importantly. So I'm going to tear it right there. And as you can see, if I just pull, it'll keep splitting along that line. I'm going to pull both sides off. Be careful when you get back to the back here where the leak guard is attached. Try not to tear the plastic because that'll ruin your print. So I've got one side torn off. Alright, so now we've got a center one that looks like so. And we're going to go ahead. Right, so I've processed the two rear outsides. Now we're going to do the rear center. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these off the side. I'm going to cut the front off again. And then we are going to pull the sides off, but we're not going to pull them off all the way down to the padding like we did on the inner, on the sides back here. So if we take a look, we've got the inner, and then we've got where it meets the leak guard here. There's a little bit of space. This is where our glue is going to go, importantly. So I'm going to tear it right there. And as you can see, if I just pull, it'll keep splitting along that line. I'm going to pull both sides off. Be careful when you get back to the back here where the leak guard is attached. Try not to tear the plastic because that'll ruin your print. So I've got one side torn off. Alright, so now we've got center one that looks like so. One other thing to add, for the rear two sides, we are also going to want to simply pull off the leak guard here. So So find out right where it glue attaches there. You should be able to just rip it straight down. Now, when we go to process the fronts here, and also when we did the back, forgot to mention, but we are going to want to try and save 4 to 6 of these leak guards fully intact. So preferably pull them off before you cut the front off the diaper there. But we should be able to get enough from the last 3 here. Right, so onto the front 3. I'm going to go ahead and start with the center here, and I'm just going to go ahead and tear off the sides like we did with the back, starting where the leak guard meets the plastic there, and I'm going to pull it, not just the leak guard, but the entire elastic off. I'm going to tear that all the way down. When you get to the front here, you're going to notice that you'll run into this landing zone for your tapes. You're going to want to just cut that with scissors. So straight through. And try to pull off these sides in one piece, because we are going to use these leak guards again to make our extended leak guards. I want to have about 4 to 6 of them. So there's one. Keep that. Do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so there's the center one. We are going to be cutting a portion off the back here. Now, I generally glue down the, through trial and error, I found out that with this size of diaper and with these size 6s here, if I take some scissors and I cut off the back just below these wheels, when we go to glue everything over, I'll be able to overlap the diaper so that this print here, this just middle diaper print, will cover up the front print on that one, so it doesn't look like you have one diaper taped to the front and then one starting halfway up the back. Alright, and now we're going to do the 2 front sides. So again, we're just going to tear one side off entirely. Start it right there. There's another one. Let's go on that side. Alright, and the last one here. So let's see. Tear off that side. Alright, so we got those 2, and then for the sides here, lastly, I'm going to go ahead and pull off just the inner leak guards there. Back to this one here. So that is all the Pampers, about 90% processed. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to cut the majority of the backing off of these Assurance diapers. I'm going to cut from about here to here across, on the back as well, and then straight down, just one big rectangle. So you can see that we cut off the plastic. It is just the inner padding now. We can take some of that we peeled off before and sprinkle it back in if you want to add some extra bulk. And if you really want to make sure you use everything, you can pick up these pieces like we cut from where we cut off earlier and peel that fluff out and stick it in there. And then also these bits that we cut off the baby diapers, if you really want to be anal about it, especially on these Pampers here, they have this, like, it almost looks like a paper layer, but if you can tear it out, you've basically got like a sack that's full of the sap crystals, like they're impregnated in here, and you can throw that back in if you want, though I find that it's not really necessary. The reason I find it unnecessary is this is where we're going to start adding our sap here. So the first thing I like to do is take our spray glue and just do a very light coating over the padding, just to kind of get this to stay in place just a little bit. Alright, so do a light hit of that, and then we're going to sprinkle in our instant snow here. You can put this wherever you want, the most absorbency. This stuff is really absorbent, so it may look like I'm not putting a whole lot down, but you can basically add as much as you want until like the diaper will explode apart before it ever reaches full capacity. So we're just going to open it up, sprinkle her in. Alright, that should be more than plenty. For this next step, we are going to go ahead and glue on our 3 rear Pampers here. So I'm going to start off with the 2 sides. And this is where having a little bit of stickiness to your cardboard piece is going to come in handy. So if you've got a little bit of glue kind of there, you can stretch it out and just stick it down. And that just makes it a lot easier to glue. There you have a flat surface. So we're going to be applying glue right here along the back, and then along this edge right here. It doesn't matter too much if you get glue on the padding here, though it's preferable you don't. Too much glue can kind of clog up this fabric here, and it'll prevent moisture from going through if you get it too clogged. So we're just going to go ahead and throw some glue on. Alright, wait for it to get just a little bit tacky, and then we're going to apply it to the back corner here. So I'm going to start off with lining it up at the back edge. Nice and lined up with the back. Once that's down, press it nice and firm, and then we're going to take this edge here and stretch it all the way out. Line it up with the side. Move that down. And then we're going to repeat the same thing for the other side. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and glue on the center back. Now, as you can see right there, these two inner diapers come very close together. So what I'm going to do is peel off some of the backing to make a little bit of a wider gap in the middle there. Keep the padding where it is, but pull off the plastic backing. So when we glue the middle diaper down, there's enough room for moisture to flow in between and get to all the outside layers, because we want these to function and not just be like diapers glued on top of a bigger diaper. Alright, so you can see we've got the center part torn away there. I'm going to take this one, and we're going to again apply glue to the sides here and into the back section and stick it down. Now do your best to try and line up the print, as you can see where I did there along the back side. Different prints will work better when tiled together across like this. This one's not so bad. Diapers that are all just plain white and then just have a colored landing zone and a back zone, those generally tile pretty well. These will look more convincing when worn. But let's move on to the front portion. So for the fronts, we're going to have to do a little bit more to these ones that we just made here. Firstly, I'm going to cut off right below these bike tires. To measure this yourself, what you can do is place it down where it's going to go, and if you can look and see where this print ends, where this print begins, and that's generally where you're going to want to make your cut. And plus you're going to want to have like an inch or two of gluing surface. Now on the point of that gluing surface, so I'm going to go ahead and make the cut here. Alright, so I've cut this across the back there so that we're not going to have any unwanted prints showing. I don't want to see like the rear of the diaper print showing up in the middle, and then the front also meeting up there. I just want to see the front at the front and the back at the back. So that's what we're doing that in that manner. We're also going to want to remove some of the padding about 1 inch or 2 down from the baby diaper here. That way, when we go to glue this to there, we're gluing the plastic backing down. If you were to glue just on here, you'd be getting a lot of your padding material spilling out, and you're going to be leaking all over the place. So I'm going to go down and very carefully split these apart. With the way these Pampers are constructed, you can see they have all the absorbent material kind of in a pocket here, and then there's your plastic backing, and they're glued together. So if you're very careful, you can start to separate it. Try to do your best not to put any holes in the plastic, because we don't want to have any spots that don't look so good or potential leaky spots. Alright, so you can see I've pulled this away about 1.5 inches or 2, and then I'm going to take my scissors and cut off the padding there. Alright, and you can take this little extra bit of padding and throw it in there with the rest of it if you want. And then we are going to go ahead and do the same thing to our center and our other side there, and we'll move on to gluing down the front. And just like with the rears, we're going to be gluing these down. The only difference is you're going to want to add some glue to this section of the plastic that you pulled the padding away from. And again, like we did on the back, we are going to cut the center portion of the plastic backing out here so that moisture can flow through. And it should look like so. Now we're going to put down the center front. Try to make sure you line everything up nice and centered, get the prints looking nice. Try to avoid getting any wrinkles. Alright, as you can see now, it's really starting to take shape. The last few steps we're going to need to do are making our tapes, our fasteners, our wings, and we'll also talk about making the rear waistband elastic. Now I am going to go ahead and detach the diaper from the floor. I'm just going to go ahead and tear these little kind of translucent wings off because we're no longer going to need them. Now we're going to put down the center front. Try to make sure you line everything up nice and centered, get the prints looking nice. Try to avoid getting any wrinkles. So we have about 3 more steps left here, so now we've basically got our big pad, like so. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make the elastic waistband. I've done this a little bit out of order. Generally, I would do, we're going to use elastic from the wings here. We're going to need 3 of them. Sorry, 2 of them in total. So, here's one elastic. And a second one, and you can just tear these off of your donor diapers. And then I'm going to cut them in half in this direction. Now I've gone a little bit out of order with this. I'm going to be putting the elastic part on the inside here. Generally what I actually like to do is attach the elastics to the back side before I put the baby diapers on. That way it's all kind of contained. But this way will function just as well. Alright, so we're going to take 3 of these little half pieces. And on 2 of them, I'm going to tear off this one little kind of like rough bit here. So that's 1. 2, those are going to be our ends, and then for the center one, I'm going to tear both sides off. And this is where you're going to start needing to use your hot glue. And again, just like with the spray glue, the aim of the game here is to use just enough, but don't go overboard. So I'm going to take one of these sections where I've only torn one side of it off and put a few dabs down. Alright. I'm going to take the piece where we tore off both sides. We're just going to glue them together at that edge there. We're trying to make one long, thin elastic. So we're going to a bit more glue. Like so. So now we've got this piece here. And we're going to go to the back of our diaper here, the back waistband. And I'm going to use the spray glue to essentially, spray glue and hot glue to essentially stick it on right here. You can either do it on the inside here, or again, like I mentioned earlier, before you glue on this baby diapers here, you can glue it to the back side of your assurance briefs and then glue your baby diapers on top of it if you want a little bit more seamless look. However, I've noticed that on a lot of modern baby diapers, they actually do attach their elastic on the inside here where you can see it. So that actually might be, depending on what look you're going for, you can do that either way. So I'm going to lay this out, and we're going to hit it with the spray glue. Give it a sec to get tacky. And now when we go to glue this down to the inside waistband here, you're going to want to take it and stretch it out as you're gluing it down. That way, once it's done glued, it'll pull together. This part may be kind of tricky. What I like to do is use something like my foot here to hold down the one side. If you can get it held down, press in all the middle bits there. It should hold. And if not, on the edges here, use a little bit of hot glue to really hold those edges down. once you've done that, you may want to do a little bead, a couple little dots here along the top. It's really not wanting to stick well. You can stretch it out before you glue it down. And once you're done with that, you should now have an elastic waistband. Just like in a real baby diaper. Well, not necessarily these Pampers, but, you know, a lot of them. Alright, this next step, in my opinion, is one of the more finicky to do. If you notice here, now some of you may be fine with this, but this leak guard is very short, especially for how wide the diaper is. So we're going to be extending these, and if you picked up baby diapers that have nice colored leak guards, like these blue ones on the Pamper here, you may want that color to come through as well. So, if you take these ones that we pulled off the diapers before, and you look closely, you can see the blue of the leak guard here, and then where you can see where it starts to meet just the outer backing of the diaper itself and these elastics. So I'm going to go right where those elastics start and tear all that extra material off. And you'll be left with something like so. And we're going to want a few more of these. So 4 in total if you just want to use the blue. Or sorry, 6 in total if you just want to have the blue. 4 in total if you want to replace 2 of those with the leak guards that we pulled off the assurance briefs. These work just as well. They're just not blue. Here's where the Sharpie comes into play. So we want to, if you notice, these blue leak guards are nowhere near as long as the full adult-sized ones. So we're going to have to attach 2 of them together. And to get the proper length, I'm going to take my diaper here, and I'm going to lay it out flat on my cardboard and use my Sharpie to mark the ends of it. Alright, so you can see got one mark here, one mark up there. That's going to give us our length. And we're going to take 2 of our blue leak guards here. The second one. Okay. So we've got our 2 here. And I'm going to start by sticking these down, stretched out from there to there, like so. And this may be when a little bit of that tape comes in handy again. We want to stretch it out nice and flat. And you're really going to need a little bit of tacky glue on your cardboard for this step so that it holds, as you can see there. To the other side. And when I go to lay the second one down, make sure that your elastic part and non-elastic parts are lined up. Alright, so you can see where they overlap. We're going to make a small glue join right there. I'm actually going to cut off the excess from each of these leak guards and glue them together. And you can use the spray glue, that works fine. I'm going to use a very small amount of hot glue. I mean very small, just enough to get them to stick together properly, because you don't want the hot glue to be all hard and clumped up. Just a tiny dab, and then spread it out very thin. Very, very, very small amount. And once that's done, we can go ahead and cut these off here. Cut this one off from below as well. Stuff may want to stick to the cardboard a little bit too much. Just be easy with it. Should come up. Alright, so now we've got that attached. We're going to use our third leak guard, and I don't seem to have enough of the blue ones at the moment, so I'm going to show you how to do it with the white ones from the Assurance that we pulled off earlier. What we're going to want to do with this is going to be the leak guard that we use to glue everything back into the diaper there. Measure it out. Should only need about that length there. And we can get away with this glue gluing leak guard being so short and not being the full length, because if you look at our Assurance briefs here, the leak guard stops being free from the inside of the diaper a little bit before it reaches all the way to the back and all the way to the front. So that gives us a little bit of extra room to work with. Alright, so we're going to take our one used for gluing, stretch it out, lay it flat so that we can get a nice line of glue on it. And we are going to be gluing this so that the elastic portion of our middle one here is going to be glued to the non-elastic half of our longer blue leak guard there. Be careful to try and keep these stretched out. If you let them bunch back together, they'll glue to itself. I'm going to lay this down here, about around halfway. Really try Try not to glue it to the cardboard and just get it kind of glued down to your inner leak guard there. Okay, now once that's done, we're going to break our diaper back out. And we're going to figure out which side we need to glue this to. So my glue on that leak guard is on this bottom side here. So I should be able to peel it off and glue it to our leak guard here. This may take a little bit of gymnastics with the feet. So I've got it pulled off the board here. And I'm going to stretch this out. So I'm going to take, you can see, here's the end of one leak guard into the back. I'm going to line those up, the ends of the diaper here. Get it all the way stretched out. Alright, you guys can see that. And then we're going to take that white leak guard there that we attached, put glue on. We're going to glue that to the already existing leak guards on the diaper. Now, this can be rather tricky, as you can tell from the way I'm standing. I'm sure that gluing everything, taping the diaper down to the floor in some form or fashion will make this easier. I'm just going to do it the quick way. Alright, so make sure that's really nice and glued down. You can kind of see here, I've got our blue extended one, the original leak guard that's already on there, and then that one that we sacrificed and used as our, basically like a tape strip. Now, as you can tell, it's not glued all the way down to the end here. But we're going to do this last little bit with hot glue, because we can get away with that easily. So you can see where the edge of the leak guard is. I'm going to apply hot glue along that edge. Make sure it's on the leak guard, not on the inner part of the diaper there. So I'm going to glue that down. Right. Glue it like so, vertically. And then we're going to glue this little top edge across. So put the glue there, pull it across, stick that down. Alright, I'm going to do the same for the back. This is another reason I like to put the elastic band on the inside between this diaper and the baby diapers, so that it doesn't get in the way of your leak guards here, but it shouldn't affect performance. So as you can see, now I've got the nice extended leak guard on one side, and we're just going to replicate that on the other side. And once that's done, you're going to be left with something that looks like this. Make sure that when you're gluing these down, that you really get everything nice and pressed firmly with your fingers. This glue, sometimes even when it feels like it's dry, it's actually still active. All you really need to do is put it on the material that you want to glue it to, and then just really give it some pressure, and it'll be quite well bonded. Alright, two last things to do. So, when I brought up that last optional diaper, the 7th one, this is optional because we're going to be gluing this one to the inside here as kind of like a soaker spreader pad. I think it makes it a lot more comfortable and gives you some more absorbency, and it makes it look a lot more like a real baby diaper from these last few years here. So what we're going to do is, as you can see, I already tore off the edges, starting at the elite guards. Give me a little glue space here, all the way down. And now we're going to start removing the plastic backing. So if you can kind of get a little bit this inner part pinched up and a little bit the outer bit pinched up, you should be able to kind of open up the front here a little bit. Alright, so we've got that open. Continue to pull out to the sides. And let's see, we're going to look at the edge here. Alright, so if you look at the edge, you can see where this material that touches your skin is, and then this is like the little pack of absorbent material. We're going to attempt to pull the plastic backing away and leave everything else. And you may end up simply pulling off that outer soft top like cloth-like backing. That'll kind of make it easier. Alright, so since you've got that done, on these Pampers specifically, the plastic is glued in two lines, like right here and right here. So if I go to the center here, kind of bunched up a little bit, you can see that I can just start to pull it away. And then that leaves some space for moisture to get through. So we're going to tear all of that out. The edges will be our glue zone. Again, we only want glue on the edges so that we have enough space for moisture to get through. Should be good. You should be left with something kind of like this. You may be able to do a cleaner job than I did here. But basically, we're going to take what you have left here. Should be good. And we're going to put glue on the back corners along the edge here and glue it to the center. Like so. Go ahead and do that. Alright, I'm going to try to keep everything in there contained so that we don't have any sap leaking out. Alright, and then you can kind of line this up right in the middle here wherever you need it, if you want it more in the center, if that works better for you, if you want to pull it more towards the front. I'm going to glue mine more towards the front. Nice and centered. You may need to pull back your leak guards or do this before you put on the leak guards. Either way. That lined up. These edges like to glue to themselves. Should be decent. And when you're done, you should be left with something that looks more like this, with a blue soaker pad in the middle and irregular white bits on the sides. And then last step, we'll be making our wings here. And now for the wings, you can extend them as much as you need to. For me, this is going to fit me perfectly. I'm about a 29-inch waist, 120 pounds, 5'5". So for people who are smaller than me, you can make your wings shorter, glue them on a little bit farther back. I'll show you in just a second. If you're bigger than me, we can take some extra elastic material and extend the wings. And then if you need the diaper to be like taller in this direction rather than widthwise for your waist, you may have to look into using maybe some of the tennas that are longer, or if you want to go through the hassle, you can actually cut these Assurance in half and join them together, just like we joined them together lengthwise in the middle here during our first step. But anyway, let's get on to the wings. So I like to go ahead and use these wings that already came with the Assurance and modify them a bit. So we're going to need one. And two. To start off with. And then we're going to need the Velcro bits from two more, preferably. 2 to 3. 2 works fine usually. Because if you'll come to realize that it's not really about how wide this Velcro is, as more how deep it is when you want to get a good snug fit. So we're going to have 2 of these tapes here, and then plus 2 more of the Velcro bits. And we're going to be adding more Velcro to our tapes. Now, normally they come looking like this, but like I mentioned before, these Assurance brand briefs are very cheap, so sometimes they come out looking like this, and it's not going to work for me. So I'm just going to peel this end off, and we're going to re-glue it back down with the spray glue along the edge here. I'm going to go ahead and get my Velcros lined up, and make sure that you're applying glue to this glue side and not the Velcro side. You can, if you forget which is which, you can test glue side, Velcro side. Just gonna hit him with some spray glue. And then for this one where it was glued incorrectly, I'm going to attach it like so. So they look like that. And then we're going to attach a second one directly below it, like so. And like so. Alright, now if you have a wider waist, when you go to peel these away, they're usually attached like that. You can cut right here to give yourself a little bit of extra space, maybe sacrifice a few more of the Assurance briefs and glue these end to end if you want some longer tapes. If you're shorter or thinner waisted, when we go to glue these onto the edge of the diaper here, you can glue them a little bit shorter in, or you can cut this down a little bit and glue it shorter. But what I'm going to do right at the moment is I'm going to get these shaped a little bit nicer. So right now they're just kind of your rectangular style tapes. I want to have a little bit of elastic that goes down the leg or on the side of your butt there. So we're going to take some of the ones that came from the baby diapers and reuse those. And you can just kind of like mix and match these until you get the setup that works best for you. Again, all of this instruction is kind of a set of guidelines or techniques, really, and then you can take them to come up with whatever you want to come up with. You can use the same basic set of principles. I might make another tutorial to do this same kind of thing here, but only using baby diapers and not using any adult diapers is like a base, if you think that's more of a pure kind of pure experience, I guess. Anyway, let me take this and I'm gonna glue that in about like so. One for that side, and we'll replicate it on the other side. Tear this bit off. Like so. And then one other thing I like to do, and I find this helps, I just think it looks nicer, and it can help with the fitment of the tapes not digging into your thighs quite so much. But I like to take these Velcros here in my scissors and kind of cut the sides off at an angle. Like so. So you have something that looks like this, and I find that that works well for me. A bit of cardboard stuck to it. Okay. We'll do the same thing on the other one. And if you want to figure out some kind of like plastic matting or something that other than cardboard, so you don't get these little bits stuck to there, you might want to look into that. So I'm going to stick these together so I can make them equal. Okay. Off the edges. Again, how you do these tapes, where you cut them, how extended you make them, how many bits you use down the side here, whatever, how you shape them, that's kind of all up to you and what you want that to look like and how you want it to fit. So we're basically on the last step here, and that is to attach these to the diaper itself. And I'm just going to use some hot glue here. So I'm going to basically attach them right here where they would have been originally. I'm actually going to glue mine in just a little bit farther so that these fit a little bit better on myself. And I like to glue them in 2 stages to just make it easier, so I put a bead of glue right here. I'll line it up where I want it, like so. Right down, and then press it in nice and tightly, get it really nice and glued, and then I'm going to glue my second half here. Like so. Again, make sure when you're gluing on here that you get it all nice and flat. So where I put this glue line here, it started to come in contact with the elastic there on the edges of the diaper, so make sure that those are nice and stretched out when you glue it down. Alright. And then we'll just do the same thing to the other side. Alright, then once you've got your wings attached, you're basically done. Wings, elastic waistband, nice cute prints. We'll go over on the front, on the back. Nice tall leak guards. That's pretty thick right there. Very soft. You may want to let it air out a little bit if you still smell a lot of the spray glue smell. So yeah. Hope you guys found this useful, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people can come up with in the future. Thanks for watching. And just a PS, if you're worried about how well these perform, even without adding the snow in there, all the extra padding is going to be quite a bit, and with that little bit of fake snow that I put in there myself, I have never been able to reach full capacity on these. So they were just too big and waddly to take, and you had to take them off. So go crazy with this stuff.